Hello, welcome to the Daily News Ukraine channel. Today is January 4th and our daily review of news about Ukraine. The destruction of a large number of Russian soldiers in a school building in Makiivka, Donetsk region, highlights how unprofessional practices of the Russian army contribute to its high casualty rate. On December 31, 2022, Ukraine struck a school building in the Russian-held town of Makiivka near Donetsk city, which Russia had almost certainly taken over for military use. The building was completely destroyed and, as the Russian MOD confirmed, 89 Russian personnel were killed, UK's Ministry of Defence posted on Twitter with reference to intelligence data. As noted, given the extent of the damage, there is a realistic possibility that ammunition was being stored near to troop accommodation, which detonated during the strike, creating secondary explosions. The building was only 12.5 kilometers from the Avdiivka sector of front line, one of the most intensely contested areas of the conflict. The Russian military has a record of unsafe ammunition storage from well before the current war, but this incident highlights how unprofessional practices contribute to Russia's high casualty rate, the report reads. As reported, the armed forces of Ukraine destroyed and damaged up to 10 units of enemy military equipment in Makiivka, Donetsk region, on December 31. According to social media posts, the Russian military death toll reaches 600. OL. On the morning of January 4, explosions rang out near the Belbek airfield in temporarily occupied Sevastopol, Crimea. Social media users write about explosions near the Belbek airfield in Sevastopol, RFE/RL's Russian service posted on Telegram. Petro Andriushenko, advisor to Mariupol mayor, wrote on Telegram that the air defense system was activated in Sevastopol at least twice this morning. Read also, blasts rocked north of occupied Crimea as reported, blasts rocked Dzhankoy, Crimea, on January 3. OL. Over the past day, Russian invaders shelled the territory of Kherson region 73 times, killing 2 people and injuring 5 more. Russian occupiers shelled the territory of Kherson region 73 times. Over the past day, the Russians killed 2 people, and 5 residents of Kherson region received injuries of varying degrees of severity, Yaroslav Yanushevich, head of the Kherson Regional Military Administration, posted on Telegram. According to his information, the invaders shelled the populated settlements of the region with artillery, MLRS, mortars, and tanks. The Russian army attacked Kherson city 11 times, shelling residential neighborhoods. Shells hit a shipbuilding plant, a gas pipeline, private houses, and apartment blocks. Volodymyr Litvinov, head of the Berislav District Military Administration, wrote in Telegram that Berislav, Novoalexandrivka, and Tyahinka territorial communities came under enemy fire over the past day. Civilian infrastructure, a school, an outpatient clinic, high-rise buildings, private houses, and outbuildings were damaged. Nobody was injured. OL. Russian troops launched a missile attack on an infrastructure facility in Zaporizhzhia city. 8 apartment blocks and a kindergarten were also damaged. Zaporizhzhia. Missile attack on the city. The enemy used S-300 missiles. The occupiers hit an infrastructure facility. 1 person was injured, Deputy Head of the President's Office Kirilo Tymoshenko posted on Telegram. According to Tymoshenko, a fire broke out at the impact site, and 2 warehouse buildings were destroyed. The blast wave damaged a 5-story residential building and cars parked nearby. Works to eliminate the consequences are ongoing, he added. Anatoly Kurtev, acting mayor of Zaporizhzhia, posted on Telegram that 8 apartment blocks were also damaged and 2 people were injured in the missile attack. According to preliminary information, 8 apartment blocks were damaged in one of the districts of the city as a result of the night attack. Their windows were blown out and balconies were destroyed. In addition, the building of kindergarten was damaged. Windows were also broken there and the roof was partially damaged, the post reads. Another woman received minor injuries. A 40-meter shell crater and damaged cars are spotted near the houses. Full information about the consequences of the attack is still being established. Employees of the district administration have been working on the ground since night, and utility workers since the very morning. As reported, the Russians attacked the outskirts of Zaporizhzhia city with missiles. OL. Over the past day, January 3, the troops of the Russian Federation shelled the border communities of Kharkiv region. 2 men were injured. Over the past day, enemy shelling of border settlements in Kupiansk, Mykolaiv, and Kharkiv districts of the region continued. In particular, Kupiansk, Vovchansk, Streleka, Dvorykna, and other settlements were under fire, Oleg Synegiubov, head of the Kharkiv Regional Military Administration, posted on Telegram. Houses were damaged in Vovchansk, and fire trucks were damaged in Dvorykna. 2 men, 42 and 72, were injured in Kupiansk district. They are hospitalized in moderate condition. Mine clearance is ongoing in the region. Over the past day, bomb disposal experts of the State Emergency Service defused 76 explosive objects. As reported, the Russians launched 7 missile strikes, 18 airstrikes, and more than 85 MLRS attacks over the past day, January 3. OL. Russian troops shelled one of the settlements in Kutsurub community, Mykolaiv region, on Tuesday. According to the information of district military administrations, the enemy shelled one of the settlements in Kutsurub community around 1500 hours yesterday. Residential buildings and outbuildings were damaged. Nobody was injured, Vitaly Kim, head of the Mykolaiv Regional Military Administration, posted on Telegram. In Mykolaiv, Pervomaisk, Voznesensk, and Bashtanka districts the situation was relatively calm over the past day. As reported, 9,510 residential buildings in Mykolaiv region have been partially or completely damaged since the beginning of the Russian invasion. OL. Ukrainian forces have already killed about 108,910 Russian troops in Ukraine between February 24, 2022 and January 4, 2023, including 720 in the past day alone. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine said this in a post on Facebook, and Ukrinform correspondent reports. Ukrainian defenders also destroyed 3,038 tanks, plus 2 over the past day, 6,106 armored fighting vehicles, plus 6, 2,039 artillery systems, plus 6, 424 multiple launch rocket systems, 215 anti-aircraft warfare systems, plus 1, 283 aircraft, 270 helicopters, 1,842 unmanned aerial vehicles, plus 3, 723 cruise missiles, 16 warships/boats, 4,745 motor vehicles and tanker trucks, plus 10, and 181 pieces of special equipment. In 2022, Ukrainians purchased 37,900 new cars, which is 63% less than in 2021. The Ukrainian Motor Vehicle Manufacturers Association, Ukrotoproom, said this in a post on Telegram, Ukrinform reports. Some 37,900 new passenger cars were registered in Ukraine in 2022. Compared with 2021, the new car market has shrunk by 63%, reaching a record low since the beginning of the century, the report said. Last year, the first place in the ranking of brands in the market of new cars was taken by Toyota, with 6,914 registered cars, 55% less than in 2021. The Toyota RAV4 became the bestseller of the year, with 2,525 registered cars. In second place was Renault, with sales of new cars down 71% to 3,975. Skoda took third place, with 2,829 cars registered in 2022, a decrease of 54% from 2021. The top 5 sales leaders also included Hyundai, 2,285 cars sold, a fall of 52%, and Volkswagen, 2,274, a decrease of 45%. Russian invaders last night shelled the town of Nikopol, Dnipropetrovsk region, damaging residential buildings. The head of the Dnipropetrovsk Regional Military Administration, Valentin Reznichenko, said this in a post on Telegram, Ukrinform reports. Script async src equals https://telegram.org/js/telegram widget.js 21 data telegram post equals Dnipropetrovsk ODA/2903 data width equals 100% script. Last night in the Nikopol district was loud due to enemy shelling. The Russians hit the district center with heavy artillery. About a dozen enemy shells landed in the residential neighborhoods of Nikopol, Reznichenko wrote. People were not injured. Several residential buildings and outbuildings, a car, a gas pipeline and a power line were damaged in the town. In other districts of the region, no attacks were recorded. Photo credit, Valentin Reznichenko, Telegram. Since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine began, Ukrainian law enforcers have registered 62,210 crimes of aggression and war crimes. The press service of the Prosecutor General's office said this in a post on Telegram, Ukrinform reports. In particular, prosecutors registered 62,210 crimes of aggression and war crimes, including 60,477 crimes on violating the laws and customs of war, 67 crimes on planning, preparing or initiating and waging a war of aggression, 40 crimes on propaganda of war, and 1,626 other crimes. In addition, law enforcement officers registered 17,335 crimes against national security. Of these, 10,449 were related to encroachment on the territorial integrity and inviolability of Ukraine, 1,911 concerned treason, 3,868 collaborative activities, 380 aiding and abetting the aggressor state, 62 acts of sabotage, and 665 were other crimes. Today we were talking about those news. Incident in Makiivka highlights unprofessional practices of Russian Army, British intelligence. Media report explosions near Belbek airfield in Sevastopol. Russians hit Kherson region 73 times in past day. 2 civilians killed. Apartment blocks, kindergarten, infrastructure facility damaged in attack on Zaporizhzhia. Invaders fire at border areas of Kharkiv region, injuring 2 people. Russians hit community in Mykolaiv region, damaging houses. Russian military death toll in Ukraine rises to 108,910. Sales of new passenger cars in Ukraine down 63% in 2022. Enemy fires a dozen shells at Nikopol overnight. Russia commits 62,210 war crimes in Ukraine since invasion.